Here we go.
What up, Mike? Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1697 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Yes, we are open. An award-winning podcast from Monaris, hosted by FOTM El Grego. Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. Christy Pitts has the best baseball in the city outside the dome. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. Building Toronto Skyline, a podcast and book from Nick Iones, sponsored by Fusion Corp Construction Management Inc. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, returning to Toronto Mic'd from lowest of the low, it's Lawrence Nichols and Ron Hawkins. Welcome back, Lawrence and Ron.
Hello.
Hey.
Lawrence, were you eyeballing that vintage Edge 102 jacket over there?
I was thinking it might look a little bit cooler than the jacket I'm wearing, but it's
Do you want to put it on?
Yeah, well, I do, but I guess it's too late now because people, the cameras are up running.
Oh,
already.
but I don't actually care about the cameras. But you were more than welcome to go throw it on. But that is, let me see, the
Vintage.
102.1 The Edge. That's from like early 90s.
So are we.
And you are, no, I was going to say, a typical day I'd be listening to 102.1 and I'd hear, I don't know, Henry needs a new pair of shoes, or Bleed a Little Wild Tonight, or Salesman Cheats and Liars. And it's amazing that I consider you two pals now. You're friends.
That's how it works, man.
You just bring us into your basement enough times.
Yeah. I mean, we don't want to send that invitation out to everyone, but
No, but you know how, like on Saturday Night Live, when you host for the 5th time, they give you a jacket?
Right.
Like in theory, maybe this is like the 10th time maybe, and you should just take home that vintage Edge 102 jacket.
That's right, but then I'd have to turn it over to the next person who surpasses us to the next.
it'll be Steve Martin.
Yeah.
Either Steve Martin or Ralph Benmergui. Who knows?
Yeah. Well,
Ralph was here yesterday, and I was thinking, oh yeah, Ralph's a buddy now.
Make placing your bets, people.
Is Ralph still doing that thing with the arrow on his head? Like,
oh, the Steve. Yeah. He was a big Yuck Yucks guy in the early '80s. Ralph Benmergui was a going concern at Yuck Yucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he yucked it up on that. I think that was the sort of infamous New Year's Eve appearance that we did on the Ralph Benmergui show back in '93.
Sure.
I'm going to say
It'll be around then, yeah.
And we were at that point in our careers where we could dictate our expectations, which was that we wanted to rebuild a set of Sneaky D's bathroom, and they didn't say get out of here. So they actually did it.
Can you give me a few more? I need details on this one. So, like, who is it? I'm trying to remember, but I believe
the Ralph Benmergui show.
Friday Night it was called. Friday night with Ralph Benmergui. I think it was Friday night.
Sure.
And I think the musical director might have been James B.
Oh,
maybe like it was James B. was like the musical guy or whatever. But you were booked for New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
along with the Watchmen. Junk House was also on.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that, but so they asked us to do it, and then of course that year a Lowest of the Low episode happened, which is that we got in an argument over what song we would play, and then we got over an argument about what the set would look like, and we wound up dictating all these, so we wound up playing Beer Graffiti Walls, and we demanded that they build us a set that looked like the bathroom of Sneaky D so that we could, honor the song. And then of course, I'm doing air quotes now, our road manager, John Brooks, who was more of sort of a hype man and a security guard and a buddy, he came out and I want to say fake urinated in the urinal, but knowing him, he may have actually urinated in the urinal. And then he spray painted on the wall.
Okay, and how did it go? Like, how did the performance go?
I think it was fantastic. And I think, I think it's one of those things, like, I think when it was done, they thought it was fantastic too, but they couldn't picture it in advance.
Also, you said a very bad word live on the air. I
said a swear?
You said a swear.
Oh, God.
You can swear.
Yeah.
The Junk House, I was looking for my, there you go. You can take a peek at that or whatever, my vinyl.
Oh,
I don't
my
have,
God.
like, a lot of times a musical guest will come on, so Tom Wilson would come over and he'll gift me like vinyl, but there's nothing in this house that actually plays vinyl. But I like having it for the studio, like for when you say Junk House.
It looks nice. You can hold it up to the camera.
I can whip it out.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's a document. It's a
It's a solid
artifact.
document. Yeah.
Speaking of solid people, so when I was looking for you guys, because you weren't very late, like you weren't rock star late, you were like minutes late, but I was all like excited, like, I don't know, a dog at the window, like waiting for, hey, the owners will be home soon. So it was like a couple minutes late and I was looking for you and I saw a guy standing in my driveway and I'm looking out the window and it's kind of rainy out there. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's FOTM Chris Tate. And then I run out to see Chris and I'm like, oh, this is the second time Chris Tate has come to the side door of the studio here when I didn't expect him, because the first time he visited, I thought he was the other Chris Tate from Chalk Circle.
Wait,
but this is Chris Tate's from the... And then I think that was a comment from you. I'm like, oh, I accidentally booked the wrong one. And then I think it might have been Lawrence, but somebody said, actually, you booked the right one. And it's true. I love this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but you made up
Chris
that interview on the fly, and it was a great show. It was, it was great. It had the funny thing because, Chris was like, well, there's a very funny moment where you realize that in fact you're not talking to who you think you're talking to, but you guys went places with that. I mean, I think Sinead O'Connor had just died, and you guys had a nice moment there talking.
And I found some lazarettes on YouTube so we could kind of play and discuss. And then I know, Ron, you came up, and there's new lazarettes.
Yeah, the Lazarettes just finished a record which is called Sweet Misery, which will be coming out, I believe, July 18th, I think
I believe there's a show at the Monarch.
Yeah,
I just got invited to a show at the Monarch.
There you go.
I think it's July 18th, but it's in that vicinity anyway. And I had the honor of producing their record, which was an absolute delight. And among other things, because we went back to Union Sound, which is we've made records at before, and worked with Chris Stringer, who's a fantastic producer in his own right and sound engineer. And we did something, the drummer in the Lazarettes, when we were done, said something that I was very chuffed about. He said, I feel like we pulled off a heist because we did all the recording for the entire album in 3 days.
Wow.
Which is relatively, people have done it before, but it's not usual. And it was a blast. So we ripped
And I like
through
the
it.
use of the word chuffed, right? This is like a British term, right? You're
He was
turning
well chuffed.
Somebody told me you were slowly turning into Billy Bragg. I think it's happening.
Well, we were skint, so we couldn't pay a lot of money. So,
and you're not the only one who needs clarification about the Chris Tate. Like I was talking to Ron on the phone, and I think your doorbell went off, and you said, "Oh, Chris Tate's here. I'm going to be producing some music," and I of course had to go.
Yeah, well,
Chris Tate 90s, Chris Tate, or Chris Tate 80s?
It really
I said, nope.
like
And he
it
said,
got
Chris
me.
Tate,
and
our
it's-
friend. I said, nope. Another Chris Tate?
Well, it's the problem, not problem, but they have the same name, obviously, same spelling, and they're both musicians.
Yeah.
But they're also, their side hustles or whatever are similar.
Mm-hmm.
So when you find them and they're describing themselves and, I work for, I don't know, a marketing agency and I play music and everything, it all aligns.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like in my booking of the wonderful Chris Tate from the Lazarettes, I think he might have suspected I thought I was talking to the other Chris Tate, and he let me do so. Like, I feel like he might have...
Maybe he was inside going, it finally worked.
Yeah, like, right. I think he wanted to see what would happen if I just
Excellent.
started recording with him, and then I start playing, like, April Fool or something.
Well, plus he heard he got some great palma pasta out of this. So,
Oh, yeah, so do
I'm
you
sure
guys
he knew
want
about
a,
that.
Well, now I'm concerned that the first time you booked Ron Hawkins on the show, you weren't sure what you were getting.
Well, I asked him about his, having John Lennon over and everything.
And you said, well,
and
they
you
have the
said-
same background. They're both wear a cowboy hat. They're both lady killers.
But that's a good point. You know what it's like to be mistaken for another Ron Hawkins.
I not that often I don't. It's so weird. It's really weird that it doesn't happen that often. It's happened.
That's because he died.
Well, you are the one that's alive, so I mean, it's a
shout out to Ridley Funeral
easier
Home.
distinction to make.
I win. No, but I mean, the most hilarious time was actually my mom was in the crowd at an enormous Buffalo outdoor show in the summer, and just overheard two guys standing beside her talking about how I was the son of Ronnie Hawkins, and then at some point my mom piped in and said, actually, no, they're not related. And the one guy looked at her, sort of throwing some shade, and said, yeah, I think they are. And my mom was like, I was there.
They were mom-splaining to her.
Yes,
Wow.
they were definitely mom-splaining.
You can borrow that one. Okay. Now, on our way, we're going to get to Over Years and Overnight, which is your new album, which I have heard several times, and I've even heard a lot of these songs live. So I have a lot to say about this, but on our way, I have a few specific questions and then like a fun musical journey on our way there. So that's like just to prepare you in case you want to bolt right now. So
Maybe I should put that jacket on. I don't know.
Peace and Quiet. So I know this is not a Lowest of the Low song. This is a Ron Hawkins solo song used brilliantly by Tim Thompson in that montage when the I call it when the Shanna Plan came into effect.
Too soon.
So, two questions. One is like, and I love the song independently of the montage, but I really love the Peace and Quiet montage that Tim Thompson put together for the Maple Leafs. And it was really helped, and again, it is too soon, but it was brought in. I feel like it came in with the new blood, like the Nylanders and the Marners and the Matthews and everything, and this hope we had with this new opportunity of these great young studs. But I feel like that door is closed. It feels like it didn't work out. So that wonderful montage by your wonderful songs, Peace and Quiet, it did not help this core. That's like more of a statement.
Way to go, Ron. Jeez.
Ron, I'm not like going to blame
every
you.
Every year is a new season, Mike, and I gave it my all. I mean,
we'll give him next.
There were some passengers out there on that track.
But my real question is, I've seen Lowest of the Low play many times. Like, would Lowest of the Low play Peace and Quiet, or maybe they have and I just didn't catch it?
I don't think we ever have we?
I think we did. Well, no, we didn't. Well,
maybe the Low UK did.
Yeah, we did. No, that was the night after we. No, we didn't.
Like, would that ever happen?
I think anything could happen. I think with the Lowest of the Low, the problem / joy of being in the band is that we don't need it. We have so many songs that we can't even get. We get grief from people at the shows for songs that we haven't played from the records we've released. So moving on to other songs, like there's just again like this new record that's come out. There's so many very on every record. I guess there are songs that are better played live and better as recordings. This record seems to have a lot of songs that are very good live and sing-alongable, and I'm back to chorus writing much more adamantly than I have been.
You don't need it. You don't need to play a Ron Hawkins solo song.
Yeah,
because you got enough songs.
I mean, that guy's good. I'm not gonna throw shade on that guy. That guy.
We did it in Buffalo, just the two of us in an encore one time, like maybe even last year.
What's hilarious?
That's a thing that happened.
Lawrence and I don't know why this happened, and I don't think it was just a thing we came up with. I think it was a reaction. I think Lawrence and I had to open for Lowest of the Low once,
right?
And we got to witness what it must be like to open for Lowest of the Low, which is not that enjoyable. It's like
nobody paid any attention.
Nobody was paying any attention to us, and it was like, wait,
did they recognize
guys? Maybe that's it. Maybe they didn't recognize.
Maybe
us. What were we wearing? Different clothes, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm glad you mentioned Buffalo. In Lois spelled L-O-W in Buffalo. I recently had over Andrew Scott. He's the drummer for Sloan. And you've heard of Sloan?
Heard of him, yep.
I got to say, I want to see a Venn diagram of like Lowest of the Low fans and Slow fans. I feel like there's a great overlap there.
Yeah, I think there is. And Mike, this might be the biggest. I mean, Donald Trump has done a lot of shitty things to the world, but this might have been the thing that the most terrible thing he's done is that we were supposed to do a show with Sloan at the Outer Harbor in Buffalo this summer. And I had come up with this idea that we would make Dave in the past has made these giant lights to put behind us. And I had the idea that it would say Sloan, but it would say S-L-O-W-N. And when they were on, it would be fully lit. And when we were on, there would be a foot pedal we could kick and the S and N would go out and it would just say low.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump has deprived us of that.
Oh, so pause right there because I'm talking to Andrew Scott. It was only, a month ago or so. And we had this exchange, and this is going to lead to a big question. Has Sloan reconsidered playing, some of these border towns like Buffalo?
Sloan is one thing. I'm not going to the United States for the foreseeable future.
Well, you're 25% of Sloan.
Yeah, but I can't hold anyone else back from doing whatever one needs to do. But I'm personally not going to the States for minimum 4 years.
So basically, Andrew says as long as Trump is president, he's not crossing that border, like for professional reasons, personal reasons. I'm wondering, what do you think of that? But also, whether you have any issues in Lowest of the Low with going to play for a crowd in Buffalo.
Well, if we had any issues, they certainly would not be with the crowd in Buffalo.
No.
I mean, we've had nothing but great experiences down there, and those are wonderful people. But I think, the way Andrew described it was I think quite astute. I mean, he said, these are your neighbors, and you may be very fond of your neighbors, but if they can't control their dogs,
that's exactly what he says. Control your dogs.
Control your dogs, America.
That's a very astute way of putting that.
It's a very astute way of putting that. Yeah. And
we sort of did what happened at the beginning of COVID. Lawrence was the canary in the coal mine for COVID and kept saying to us, maybe we should consider this and we should stop. We've got some shows coming up. Maybe we should cancel some of those shows. And of course, like a band of brothers, we all sort of jumped on him like, oh boy, okay, big. We were all sort of puffing up our chests and making fun of Lawrence. And then,
I'm used to this, by the way.
But of course, he was right? And it very quickly dawned on everybody that he was completely correct. And I think about this, I was the canary saying like, yeah, we could probably get over, or maybe we would get hassled. And I'm not saying that any of us are going to El Salvador, but I am saying, that there are horror stories getting bigger every day. And something as simple as I tried to cross once as a solo performer, and there was some kind of confusion in the computer where somebody else's rap sheet got hooked up with my information, and that person was supposed to have been a drug runner and a gun smuggler from Quebec. And it took me an hour and something to get that unraveled, and they eventually said, "Sir, it was a human error." And I said, "Oh, really? Was it?" But nowadays, I mean, especially the fentanyl nonsense and everything that they are talking about, our pound and a half of fentanyl that has crossed the border, something like that could get you a lot of, hassle and trouble by accident, And plus there are things that are not accidents that, on our socials and stuff like that are not, do not shine. We're from the lunatic left. So
yeah, you're outspoken, and
we're absolutely unapologetic purveyors of the woke mind virus. Like, so there's just no,
that's how I got it.
Yeah.
It's contagious.
Yeah.
It's airborne.
So will Lowest of the Low be crossing the border anytime soon?
No.
Don't think so.
I think, like I've been telling people in fact, I answered somebody today, just said, until there's a regime change, and hopefully that will be sooner than later, because I don't think what's going on is sustainable anyway. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think their program is such as it is sustainable. And I think pushback will happen and things are going to happen. So it may not be 4 years. I mean, something may happen where we're able to do it again. And then someone else piped in and said, it's not our war. And I was quick to correct them and say, no, it's definitely our war. Like I think it's our war as well. It's just that I don't see how it benefits anybody for us cooling our heels in a Louisiana detention center. That's not going to help anyone. So it's really just a strategic situation right now, and we're trying to figure out, because we definitely kicked it back and forth. There's a classic case of Springsteen not going to North Carolina, I think over trans issues, some draconian trans issues that were instilled in North Carolina. And then there was a punk rock band who also had trans people in it who said, oh, yeah, but now, the people down there who are held hostage now don't get to see their favorite artists either. So it isn't as simple as like, oh, you just, put up your virtue signaling and don't go, but so we did kick it back and forth, but it just seemed like it came, I think Andrew is right. I think that's exactly a brilliant way to put it, which is that it's just too much crazy shit can happen that doesn't help any of us, And
that is really too bad, because I mean, there's no end to the wonderful people we've met in Buffalo, and
Well, they were listening to what's that jacket I got over there? That 102.1.
Yeah.
They were hearing a lot of Lowest of the Low. That's for sure. Now,
and we're also weirdly, I would assume by the time we get across there, the MAGA contingent in our crowd is probably pretty small.
Well, you booted them already, I'm sure. Like, I'm sure you were very vocal. Like, if you're MAGA,
best as you can, yeah.
Yeah, as much as you can, but don't overestimate the degree to which some people might not clue in. I think we're still.
I read somewhere about like the right was upset with something Rage Against the Machine said, and it was like that's this, like, we talk about Venn diagrams, but the far right and Rage Against the Machine, like, are they not listening?
Well, the far right and Rage happen to go together pretty well. I mean, look, like on our Twitter feed, I put a delightful photo of Dave Foley and Mike Myers attending a Leafs
at the
game
Leafs
together.
game.
And it took a while because I think Dave retweeted it, but it took a while. But maybe about 18 hours later, the right-wing people discovered it. And it was just this torrent of abuse and people yelling at us to stay out of politics. And it was just a picture of two guys enjoying the game. I think it said, the boys at the hockey game, you know, and that set everyone off.
And you have no problem, and no judgment here on this one, but like any issues with the fact that you're on Twitter at all?
Like,
have you kicked that one back and forth?
Oh, we have kicked that one back and forth. And I don't think we're going to be on Twitter forever. But I mean, there's still... You know, the algorithm's a funny thing, and I mean, there's still there's a resistance on Twitter that still exists, and is sort of in our ecosystem. Our little corner of the algorithm is still the same as it always was, except unless I post photographs of Mike Myers, apparently.
Right.
But yeah. So I mean, there's some kindred spirits there still, but I mean, it's all falling apart, kind of, isn't it? Like, you know, the old ways. And I mean, we're on what is it, Blue Sky now, which just seems to be a much healthier, friendlier space. It's like being in the Wizard of Oz in black and white and coming out into the color.
Just yesterday, Supriya Dwivedi was here, and we talked because she covers the social media and everything, and she was in the Prime Minister office doing that, for goodness sakes. But we talked about Blue Sky, and she called it like a place for like Twitter refugees, and I realized that's what Blue Sky is. Twitter refugees needed a safe space to continue making our ridiculous observations, and that's where we're hanging out.
I think there's
now.
a safe space for the other side too. I think, right? Isn't Truth Social where they go to?
Oh, that's the Trump bill.
So
sure.
I mean, you know, we all have our safe retreated to our corners now, and
Jeez,
just as society intended.
So we brought
our corner men are dabbing us down for the next round.
Man, so again, more heavy-hitting questions, and then there will be music, and we're going to talk in great detail about Over Years and Overnight, your new album, because I've made an observation having seen you at the concert hall a couple of weeks back, and I'd like to share that with you. But on our way there, I got a Blue Sky, I don't know what we call him, a post, I guess, from Hamilton Mike, who was disappointed that Beaches, great Toronto band, have a song that's heard right now in a Tim Hortons ad. And then I think we went back and forth. We kicked this back and forth a little bit. And Sloan, two of the members have been over very recently, and we talked about the fact that they have a song in a Coca-Cola. Well, it's not Coke, but they own it. It's an iced tea company called Fuse or something like that. And I'm wondering, would Lowest of the Low sell a song for an ad of that nature, Tim Hortons or Coca-Cola?
Not Pepsi?
Or Pepsi. You can be singing for Pepsi. You can be singing for Coke.
Or
Dr. Tab would be our thing, right? Like
Dr. Pepper would be my personal thing.
Who buys Tab? Exactly.
Yeah.
Fresca.
Fresca.
My son likes Fresca.
I think, you know, I feel like we're in a world where both arguments make sense. Like so many things, both arguments make total sense. And for me as an artist and a writer, if it's a song I've written and not necessarily a song that we've all written together, my take is just like, in my life, I have a philosophy about how I would like things to be, and I'm quite willing, if it's just up to me, to go all in on that and say, no, I'm not giving any of my songs for TV commercials. If it's a TV commercial for Amnesty International or whatever,
Sure.
but I'm saying, like, if it's
for Coke,
selling a product or
the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Or the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, you almost did, right?
You know, it's like, then that's a thing. I'm quite willing to not receive what little shekels they're going to throw our way anyway, and not benefit from whatever exposure that might give. You know, and I'm fully comfortable with doing that because I think, you know, we've had an argument or a discussion about AI recently, and just like how much of that to use, how much of it not to use, and the environmental impact of it all and everything. And my instincts are always like, let's just go full hog. What do you believe? I believe that I want to live on a planet that's sustainable. I don't think that helps, and we don't need it. Let's not use it. But, you know, I'm also working in democracy, and I understand other people's arguments. That makes sense too. It's not, you know, so I'm quite willing to be flexible on the discussions. Like, I'm not going to be a hard ass and say, if I wrote it, then it's not happening, you know?
Okay, and Lawrence, do you echo these sentiments?
Yeah, to some degree, but I'm way past the point in my life where I'm going to judge anybody who wants to continue to make music and maybe needs some money, and, you know, has someone offering them money to be in a Canadian Tire commercial or something like that. I'm good for them, I say. But
I mean, we've heard tragically hip songs in bank commercials, right? Like,
Yeah?
Head by a Century, I think was used.
Oh, no kidding.
For like CIBC or something
Hey,
like
sometimes it's really fun when you hear a song, you know, in a commercial. There was a Tide commercial that had
the Sky Diggers.
No, it had the deers. The deers in a.
Yeah,
like-
so that was fun. But I had a similar moment of, I think it may have been Canadian Tire, but I can't remember now.
Hyundai.
But
It was a Hyundai commercial.
Hyundai,
wasn't it?
yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
they had and I'm like, that's Sky Diggers. But I was actually, I felt happy for Sky Diggers
Right.
that they made some cash off this great
Yeah,
jam.
but Bob Dylan, Bank of Montreal, like there was one
That's
of
pretty
those.
weird.
So it just like, but to me, it's like, yes, I agree with everything you guys are saying, but at the same time, I just think, yeah, but then where are we? Then all of life is just these little surrenders to things that don't seem to be much on their own, but are just pieces of the Jenga puzzle to me of why we will remain here if we don't take some pretty hard stands, you know?
Remember the Dandy Warhols had a song in the Ford commercial? It was their big hit, but the song starts out with the line, "You got a great car. Yeah, what's wrong with it today?" And the commercial's a whole bunch of people sitting in a Ford singing along, and when they get to the second line, they all go, "Yeah, what's," obscuring. So they wanted the song so much that even though it was anyway. Never mind.
But here's one big question. So I know Lowest of the Low. Shout out. So I have two members. I should tell everybody. So I've been saying, Lowest of the Low are coming over, but no, that's not technically true because it's going to be Lawrence Nichols and Ron Hawkins from Lowest of the Low. Mm-hmm. Shout out the members of Lowest of the Low, and then please tell me, like, would majority rule? Like, if there was a fairly lucrative opportunity for one of your songs from Shakespeare My Butt to be in a bank commercial in 2025, would 3 out of 5 saying yes carry the day? Lawrence wants to
believe
know
that.
too.
I believe so. Yeah. That's how democracy
Well,
works.
Like, that's how
However,
democracy was
there would be a
sometimes.
problem.
Well,
I mean,
but that's tricky though. Since you specified Shakespeare My Butt,
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 2 guys in the band who were really in the band when that album came out. So
arm wrestle.
yeah, so
Rock, paper, scissors. That's
get,
a rock, paper,
And
scissors.
does Stephen
interesting,
Stanley
yeah.
get a vote? Is what I need to know.
Oh yeah.
Well, who knows, man? I mean, these are valid questions. I mean, I again, I would say that there are things that I would make an executive decision as a songwriter on, no matter how many people voted on it, But we've never gotten close to anything.
Because that's
like
very
that.
John Bon Jovi of you, right? Like, I feel like he carries the day. It's just the vote is one guy in Bon Jovi, and what he says
all
goes.
I'm saying is, like, the good thing about this is that there's kind of a built-in sensibility. Like, we're together for a reason, and we gel like we do for a reason because we're all very like-minded people.
Right.
Or some of us are a little, I don't know, maybe I'm a little more stubborn about some kind of purist things on one side or something like that, but it never really becomes an issue, and it almost solves its own problem because the kind of people where it would be a problem for me to be outvoted by probably are never ever going to approach us anyway. So it's almost like it fixes itself. But we've had a couple of these over the last year or so, I think, where we discussed, and I've said, my vote is nope. And then it's come back and it's like, well, what about this? What about that? And it's like, and I'm like, well, if I get outvoted, I get outvoted. That's cool. I'm just, but as I say, like my thing would be like, we make art, we make records, we play live shows, that's what we do. And everything else is kind of like capitalist white noise to me, and it's usually a dog and pony show. Like usually it does not. And Lawrence and I've gone back and forth about this stuff. Like, I don't really care what people think about it. It's not like I'm doing this because I want to have, the punk rock crowd think I'm seriously punk rock or whatever. It's like, these are the things I believe in. This is the world I want to live in.
Sure.
And I just think all these little things chip away at that, and we'd be better to hold our ground.
A man's got to have a code.
Yeah.
Yeah. But man has to eat as well. So,
Well, people have to grow and change as well.
Yeah.
You know.
And I already gave you lasagna. You can eat that.
And you're not really doing this to get girls anymore either, right? So,
no, I'm doing this to get lasagna.
Yeah. So
That's so fucking true. Okay.
you grow, you change.
So in the
Oh, I'm growing.
So what we're gonna do now, and I know I have a little. I remember muscle memory that I can talk for a while.
Are you
before
allowed to play this song? Is this going to get...
Yeah, well, no, I'm going to have problems with 2 places are going to give me problems. Spotify and YouTube are going to have problems. So on that, okay. So I read Exclaim had a interview with you, Ron Hawkins, to promote this new album.
Sure, they did.
It was good. They did. Do you remember doing this? They asked you about your 5 favorite Lowest of the Low songs. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, and then the first thing I wrote back was like, "This is a cruel and ludicrous thing to ask,"
But
that
you did
never
it.
that never made it into the piece.
That didn't make it. That on the cutting room floor. So I want to touch on the 5 because I think it's gonna lead me in some places I want to go, but it's also gonna lead me to the new album here because I noticed how you picked your 5. It's like through the years, it's like we started with this song. So I'm playing Rosie and Gray from Shakespeare My Butt, which you listed as the first of your 5 favorite Lowest of the Low songs. So before I play a cover by Rob Bruce, I'm wondering if you guys maybe, as I play the 5 songs, the last of which is on Over Years and Overnight, the new album, if you guys would share with me why you love this Lowest of the Low song. And I know it's Ron's list, and Lawrence's list might be different, but I stole it from Exclaim.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Come at me.
To be
I
honest,
don't have to make a list right now, do I? Like,
No.
oh, wow.
my list would have been different like an hour later or the next day. Anyway, like as I said,
Yeah.
I meant it. Like it's kind of cruel and ludicrous to ask me to do that. We have so many songs.
But you only chose, of course, one song from Shakespeare My Butt, and this is it.
Yeah, I mean, I can say about this song that we're all so close to it that it's like somebody was talking to me about was suggesting to me the other day that I didn't like the Group of 7, and I was like, it's not that I don't like the Group of 7. It's like it's almost like I can't see it anymore. It's so ubiquitous that I
I'm
can't.
surprised somebody would call you out on that. Like,
What
Ron,
a weird thing to say.
Ron,
You
do you
don't
even
like the Group of
Do you
7.
even love this Group of 7? Are you even Canadian?
Listening to
man?
your music, I
Man,
can tell.
Your elbows aren't even up, man.
Your elbows at half mast, man.
And they spat at my feet. No, I said, just I don't see it. It's like Vincent van Gogh or something. It's like, obviously it's great art, but I can't see it anymore because it's so ubiquitous. And Rosie
I still
and
want to know
Gray.
who's calling you out on this. Like, Ron, do you even like this Group of 7 anymore? You've changed, man.
Yeah, that's the kind of conversations that I have that swirl around me.
No, it was not me.
It was not Lawrence,
Was it Chris Tate from Chalk
and it
Talk?
was not Chris Tate. No.
All right,
Yeah,
please,
so
sorry,
Rosie and
continue.
Gray for me, like as a song musically, I think it's a good song. I think the third verse, the cheeky fourth verse, punchline, I think is very us in terms of like, as I say, like not only do I think it's a fairly good pun and kind of a nice gotcha. And the workings, I would say that I learned from Billy Bragg or I learned from Elvis Costello or something, a way to sort of set up a thing that you then give a punchline to. But also, as I say, it's like a little Easter egg. We used to like put little Easter eggs in our songs. And that, I think, in the day was to the women who come to see us to say, hey, we know where the buttons are. Like, we're progressive guys.
It's all coded.
We care about your happiness, as men. And that, I sort of thought of it as a feminist act at the time, I think, as ridiculous as that sounds. But I mean, so that's a reason I like it. It also was a breakthrough song, I think, that made me realize I could write in a certain way that I hadn't been writing up till then. So it's
Well, here's that cheeky line. Hold on, let's listen to it.
And I've kissed you in places I better not name. And I've seen the sun go down on Sacré-Cœur. But I like it much better going down on you. Yeah, that's true because...
Yeah.
I think I played this song 1,000 times on Toronto Mic'd, but I was going to ask, I think, Lawrence, you've probably heard a Toronto Mic'd episode in the last 6 months. Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay, good. Do you still enjoy it?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, it means a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, for sure. It's great.
Means a lot. Now, Rob Bruce. I feel like I'm signing off here listening to this in the headphones. But Rob Bruce, keyboardist for Spoons and Honeymoon Suite. Sometimes I forget to shout him out that he was part of Honeymoon Suite after Spoons. Also a sweetheart who's back in the basement next week for Toast with Bob Willett from Indie 88. Bob is single-handedly saving terrestrial radio, but he has no say in the songs he plays. So I can't get him to throw, more Lowest of the Low in the mix. But I'm working on it here. But I'm wondering, I don't know if Ron's heard this, so I'm going to play Rob Bruce's cover of Rosie and Gray that now closes Toronto Mic'd and hear what you guys think of it, okay? I'll bring her down to hear you guys, and then 'cause there's no lyrics in this version here.
Okay,
but-
now play Rob's one. Sounds exactly the same as ours.
Well, this is the kind of feedback I'm looking for. Exactly. So, like, maybe since Lawrence heard it, like, on his, I don't know, on his iPhone or something back in a few months ago for the first time or whatever, what did you think when you first heard this, Lawrence? Be honest.
I thought it sounded like what our song would sound like if Tom Thompson had painted it, you know. And so,
He's not a member of the Group of Seven, right?
Oh,
Isn't he
is
like
Who
outside
cares,
the Group
man?
of Seven?
I
I think he's
hate those
outside the
guys.
Group of Seven.
okay, so Lauren Harris then. Let's just say.
There you go. I like
you know,
Lauren Harris.
Yeah. So.
Do you even respect the Group of Seven, Lawrence?
Oh man, I thought they were the Group of 8. I don't know anything. Clearly, wow.
So when you heard this, though, were you disappointed that it wasn't the?
I was waiting for the
Shakes My
vocals to
Butt?
start, but I mean, once I got past the fact, no one's going to sing.
But you know why I did it? I couldn't figure out how to get YouTube and to leave me alone until this version.
Yeah, which puzzles me because we did ask Warner to make sure that you had no more trouble from them, and they said,
Like,
"Sure,
maybe if
we'll
I
get
had,
right on that."
Like,
And
I think I need a document, and I have to go like file a grievance with like YouTube to.
you
like,
shouldn't have to because we're sitting right here.
I know.
We say, Mike, you can use our songs.
But it's all bots and algorithms. Like, there's no humans. The humans.
But the
aren't
bots are
involved.
listening to us. They're always listening to us.
Yes.
So bots, Mike
So
can use our songs.
I'm not
Yeah.
even really clear what the issue is. Wouldn't the issue, to my mind, wouldn't the issue be you're using a song that you don't have the right to
Correct.
use, and then the people who made that song sue you?
No, because for some reason I don't know what labels are involved or whatnot, but a bot detects it like almost
Yeah.
immediately and says you're using, and then they name the song and they tell me like who is.
It's on behalf
owns
of
it?
Warner
Yeah,
Music, but
right.
Warner Music doesn't actually know what's happening because
Right.
you know,
Exactly. So it's
yeah.
not like somebody heard it and filed
But
a complaint.
weirdly, when I was doing Tommy Douglas Tuesdays, when I started doing it, I thought, oh, hey, you know what I'll do? I'll play other people's music as an opening band. And then when I take my intermission, I'll play other music with the idea like, hey, this might be some stuff that other people who like me might not have heard and they might like, and then they'll learn about it. And so that went on for a little while. And then I was getting posts like, Tommy Douglas Tuesdays will be blacked out in. And I
Right.
started to go, oh, shit. And then I read it and it goes in Myanmar and Iran. And I was like, oh, and I'm like flipping the computer over, like, okay, all right, whatever.
so
I was surprised. I'm surprised that you're getting so much trouble here
it
in.
did take a long time.
Fortress
like,
North
I
America.
feel like
But
I
somehow
flew under the radar.
Rob has eluded them with this, right? Rob,
Yeah,
this
so
doesn't- this doesn't- this
so
is-
we had a version that was still being picked up, and then we changed it a little bit. So whatever this particular version is eluding the bots right
Okay.
now.
Oh.
But okay, so so Rob put in Easter eggs, and I wondered if you guys wanted to take a shot at naming the Easter eggs.
Well, this is Early One Morning, a folk song from the 17th century.
You're right.
You know,
But famous from
also used as a friendly giant.
the Friendly Giant.
Friendly giant. There we go.
And this, do we recognize this?
Oh, that's the pizza jingle, right?
Yeah, it's 439. Oh,
Pizza
that's,
Nova. There we go.
Alfie's Apicosta.
There we go.
And this,
Oh, this is Romantic Traffic.
right?
This is like a Canadiana quiz right now here.
So Rob co-wrote this with Gord Depp.
No
So
kidding.
we threw it in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Elbows
yeah.
rising.
Yeah. I love this tune. Oh,
Kids in the Hall.
yeah.
A shadowy
Having-
man on a
having
shadowy
an
planet.
average weekend,
Having an
I
average
believe.
weekend, correct. And then back to the
Rosie and
song.
Gray.
So-
No
Rosie and
idea
Gray.
what this
by-
Okay, so I had a mental note for 6 months. Next time I get you guys in the basement, I was going to ask you what you thought of Rob Pruce's cover of Rosie and Gray. So, yay or nay? for
It
you,
contains
Lawrence?
multitudes. Listen to it.
Yay. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay. I've actually asked for a new version, so hopefully we have that next week, and there'll be new Easter eggs in there as well. So let me roll on real quick here.
Is this Rob again? It's a little quick. Huh?
Black Monday is coming around again, and it feels like a friend that just won't take a hint, 'cause it's hanging me up and it's hanging around, And I'm feeling far too lost to feel too profound. When the tone of my voice is the loneliest sound, my heroes have all become pathetic clowns. And I'm feeling far too lost to feel too profound.
Personal favorite of mine, and this is another song that Ron Hawkins gave to Exclaim as one of his 5 favorite Lowest of the Low songs. So maybe a few words about Black Monday, why you chose it.
Well, again, most of the explanations they have about these songs have nothing to do with music, maybe, but this stands out in my mind as a point where Lowest of the Low had become, I'm air quoting now, Canadian famous. And pretty claustrophobically so, like in our own city. Like it got hard to be a Lowest of the Low member in Toronto a bit because we were pretty famous. And so my girlfriend at the time, Kate, in the song, I just got to a point where I found myself doing things and being in a way in the world which I did not respect, and I had flagged. When we started the whole thing, nobody in the Lowest of the Low wanted to be a rock star. We all kind of wanted to do what we, I think, have now achieved, which is build this community and hopefully be a part of, for lack of a more cheesy way to put it, but be a part of the revolution, be a part of the change in the world, the positive change in the world, right? And so at that point, when I think my boat was rudderless a little bit, and I was not being a great boyfriend, and I was not probably being a great friend or a great person, And I think I wanted to, it's therapy sometimes, right? Writing those songs, it's like I have to write it out to figure it out, right? And I think that was a big part of that, was just to reconfirming my commitment to her and, and thus to everybody I know, like to be the person that I want to be, that I strive to be, and what I don't think was being,
I actually prefer the answers when they're not about the music. That was great. That was great. Do love this song. Quick aside, which is that I was recently at an event at the Garrison in honor of Bookie. I know you guys were buds with Bookie.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, yeah.
And it was presented by Elliot Lefko and Stephen Stanley. Like they were behind this thing. And it just reminded me, just chatting, I remembered that I just saw like a post from, I don't know who it was, Scott Turner or somebody, I think, put it on Facebook. But it was like an ad for some shows coming to Lee's Palace. And they had a Popular Front was on this bill, but Nirvana was like at Lee's Palace a few days before. Nirvana was coming to Lee's Palace not with Dave Grohl, the original drummer. Anyway, these were Elliot Lefko productions, and just thought it was such an interesting ad to read with like you guys. And
Elliot was one of those guys. I think I said it in the documentary, but Elliot was one of those guys who saw something in us that I don't think was there yet. He's very perceptive. Like he's very, there's a bunch of people, our manager, Frank Weipert, was this way too, like right. Could see stuff that wasn't fully formed, but he could see the kernel, and Elliot could see the kernel like literally a decade before the kernel popped into a piece of popcorn, so we owe, like Bookie, Elliot, all those people, we owe everything to those people because they gave us a chance when, probably we didn't even really believe it,
Do you think Elliot Lefko heard Bleach and thought, okay, I'm booking these guys, or was he just got lucky on that one when he books Nirvana back then at Lee's Palace?
No, I think he just has a radar, Some people do. I don't think I do. Like, I think it doesn't come just because you're good at music or anything like that. Like, there are just people that are preternaturally gifted at spotting things coming down the pike, right? And he was definitely like that. Oh, he still is,
So I saw Elliot Lefko and Stephen Stanley at this event. The Canadian artists were doing Tragically Hip covers at the Garrison. And then I saw, like a couple days later, I saw Stephen Stanley at Christie Pitts. He came out to see the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team. And I do have, it's around the corner, I'm going to get it for you before we go. I have a great book for you on the history of Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. And I do urge you guys to make it out to Christie Pitts one Sunday and check out High Caliber Baseball, where the ticket costs you $0.00. It's a good time in the city.
How do they make that work? Sorry, that's probably
they can't. I don't know. I don't think they're allowed to like ticket an event at Christie Pitts.
Okay.
Right?
How could it be any good if it's free, Mike?
I urge you to come out. I was there 2 Sundays ago. I was there this Sunday, and it's great ball. and if Mother Nature cooperates, it's fantastic. And you can drink a beer. You could drink a Great Lakes beer or
You can drink a beer
left
in
field
Christie
beer
Pitts?
at Christie Pitts, and you don't have to worry about it.
But it's baseball,
legal.
though, right?
It's baseball, yeah. Is that a no? Great baseball if you like baseball, and it was great seeing Stephen Stanley at the game on Mother's Day, actually. All right, third jam. We're getting to the new album. Almost there.
When all the roads you see from your door lead one way and the other way, and all the waves that crash on your shore carry sailors' bones from shipwreck days. When all those vicious handcuffed words constrict, contract, constrain, well, I'll meet you on the barricade in the cool, defiant rain.
During one of your visits, maybe multiple visits, I told you how much I love this relatively new Lowest of the Low song. It's relatively new, and it's a staple now. It's a Lowest of the Low staple.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in every set now. Times call for it, you know.
And I feel like other than Rosie and Gray, this might be the only song that's closed a Low concert in recent history.
Maybe.
Lawrence is thinking about it.
I am thinking about
this
it.
is just one man's perception.
We usually close with Rosie and Gray, but there was that time where we were playing that place where all the people had arrived by boat. So once the sun started going down, they all left, and we hadn't even got to Rosie and Gray yet. So we just stopped, right?
Right.
This might have been the last song.
But
there.
I think I've seen in the last 6 years or 5 years or whatever, I think I've seen a Lowest of the Low concert where you close with the Barricade.
Yeah, it might have been that show.
Just to throw us off.
It might have been one of those horseshoe anniversary shows
Yeah,
where
maybe.
we did those short sets. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. In these times, tell us, Ron Hawkins and you, Lawrence, why, although Ron picked the jam, so I'm picking on him, but the Barricade.
Yeah, I think the Low has a few avenues that we travel, and some of them are more us trying to create something fascinating sort of sonically and maybe go to some places we haven't gone and everything. And then others are just like a job of work, you know, like folk music. Like I grew up with folk music and punk music and always wanting to deliver a message at some point in some of the songs. This one I brought like this, kind of in this kind of shape. And then David Bottrell was producing our record, and I think both the band and David, we wanted to try and take it somewhere because we were like, well, it's a pretty simple, straight up folk song, right? Folk broadside kind of classic thing, right? So we tried a million different ways, and it was fun to do so. But I think we all kind of eventually just looked at each other and thought, what are we doing? Like, you know, like we're trying to put this in a square peg in a round hole. It's like, it's delivering a message, and we just want to support it and do it, you know, as if I'm busking it on the corner or something. And I think that was the good call. Like, I think it was like, just let's stay out of the way of this one. And so every now and then, like, there's songs like that I think we do very well too. It's like, here you go, no, not too much trimming, and I like that. I like that we have some meat and potato stuff, and then we have some stuff where we go like, oh yeah, we're also musicians, and we, you know, like to play.
In the line, of course, my next vote's with a brick. We talked about this at great length. I think once in the backyard during COVID, like I was like forbidden. I was forbidden from having you guys down here, and we did a backyard ep, which was great. But is that line? It's gets the heart. Like I love that line. My next vote's with a brick. And I think it was controversial at first, maybe, and then
we talked about, you know, the
kicked
idea
it around.
Inside the band. We just talked about the idea of like how much violence do you condone, or are you condoning violence? And you know, I always come back to the thing, like, if you look at any major progressive step forward that we've ever made, like nobody ever hands over the keys. No power structure ever hands the keys over, right? It's all taken by force or by suggested force. And, you know, there's a perfect example going on right now, which is that, so there's a fascist dictatorship being built in the United States, and you look at Bernie and AOC out on the road, their anti-oligarchy tour, and it's incredibly popular, and tens of thousands of people are showing up everywhere. And my only thing in the back of my mind is like, please don't shepherd all these people back to the Democratic Party. Like, please, you have this once in a lifetime. This is probably a linchpin moment where we can build something else down there that will actually represent the people, you know?
I love what you're saying, but if you build something else, you hand the keys to the Republican Party for all of eternity, right? Like, it's a two-party system down there. Like, you can't...
But this is what I'm saying. It has been a two-party system, but I think the fact that all these people, I would include MAGA people in this. I think half of the people who voted for Donald Trump who are MAGA, it's not that they're hateful, horrible people. It's that they're so sick and tired of no choices, and each choice, and especially the one choice that pretends to represent them, always throwing them under the bus. And I just think it's time to say, hey, there needs to be another party that truly, and we'll have to prove it on the ground. It can't be talk. It's going to have to be the bulwark that stands up against fascism. And then people see, oh, these people can stand up against fascism, and they're not about to sell us out to, whatever, like the, genocide in Gaza or whatever it might be. Like, they're not going to just roll over and do what the Republicans would do,
Well, the Republicans completely rebuilt their party into something else. Maybe it could still be the Democratic Party, but just something totally different from what they've had now. I don't know. Probably.
Maybe, but I just think there's a danger of that. It's like Dave talks about rebranding Popular Front into lowest of the low. It's not like the parts change so much. But it is a matter of, we presented it in a different light.
Yeah, those footsteps upstairs. That's the 11-year-old is home from school, and
it's not
got a heavy foot.
It's not Homeland Security.
It's not, the Gestapo coming in just at that time. Whoa.
Oh, Jesus! Yeah. Goodness gracious. Okay,
but anyway, that's the brick thing. Is violence is always, just there under the surface on both sides, and I think it's naive to ignore that.
Well, look, I'm ready. I got my bricks. I'm ready to go. So just say the word, oh fearless leader. Okay. So we're almost at the new album. One more.
On a bad day, all I see was an escalation. On a bad day, all I feel is sadness and frustration. When the end of history becomes a pop sensation, it's a bad day. Folks have fewer rights than corporations. On a bad day, workers have to fight for liberation, for decent wages, toilet breaks, and even paid vacations. On a bad day.
Another recent Lowest of the Low song that I love hearing live. And we're going to talk more about this in a moment, but tell us why you chose On a Bad Day, Ron Hawkins.
Because I think it was a very successful version of the list song that we like to make every now and then, which is these are the things that are pissing me off. And I think why I like it so much is I think it was a pretty successful attempt at say the obvious thing in a non-obvious way, Like all of the things I'm saying are pretty obvious to people, but it's how can I deliver it and put a smile on somebody's face while they're, while we're connecting the dots. I love that about songs when somebody's connecting the dots to some degree for me, but they do it in a way where I go, oh yeah.
Like we didn't start the fire. For
exactly.
Example.
Because I thought we had. And then I found out that we just ignited it.
Those 7 verses just illuminated everything.
We didn't start it, but we did ignite it, which is kind of the dictionary definition of starting it. So, there's
poetry,
this weird
poetic license. I think
Schrodinger's piano man.
What album is On a Bad Day found on?
Welcome to the Plunder Dome.
Yes.
Now, so we're going to get to Over Years and Overnight, which is the new album.
That's a whole album of strident bangers, political bangers.
Welcome to the Plunder Dome.
Welcome to the Plunder Dome.
But so was Agit Pop. Like,
I know we were on a roll, but
yeah, things were horrible then.
Yeah. Now everything's calmed down.
Now that you've succeeded and everything is good again. Yeah. I do want to. So Lawrence, am I right in remembering that you're pretty much responsible for the playlist, the song list that you?
Yeah, I mean, I bring the blueprint for every show, and then sometimes people change stuff, and that's because that's how we work. But yeah, I have to do that for this weekend. Any requests for this weekend in St. Catharines? Email Mike very quickly.
Yeah, well, you were just on Humble and Ron was on Humble and Fred's show, and I was giving them the dates coming up, and so shout out, like, where in Ontario can we see you guys?
We're at the Warehouse in St. Catharines on Friday and Saturday. Friday is sold out. Saturday is almost sold out. Then next week we're in Kingston on Friday at the Mansion, and then on Saturday we are at the Fergus Meadows Fest.
Meadows Fest, yep.
which is a music festival with lots of other great artists whose names escape me at the moment. But
I'll Google it.
No, it's really good.
Is,
It's
wait,
really
is Sky on that bit?
Sky Wallace is on.
Yeah.
Sky Wallace is playing.
I saw her at the Garrison. We were saying we were, and
Yeah.
we were now. I consider her a friend, and I met her through you guys.
What did she sing? What hip song did she do?
Oh God, I can't remember.
Okay, it was
I
busy.
can't
There were
remember.
lots of them.
You know what
I'm
it was?
sure.
It was lots, and everybody did a great job, and I cannot remember anymore.
She's a big hip fan. I know that.
specifics.
She likes her some hips. So,
But what does she think of the Group of Seven?
well, we'll ask her.
Can
a
you
week
like
from
the hip
Saturday.
and not like the Group of Seven?
I don't
think
know. Is that allowed?
That would be a weird schism, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and then after that, we're playing at the Ridgeway, the Sanctuary, on June 6th.
So when I saw you at the concert hall a couple of weekends back, or I don't know, 2 or 3 weekends back, it's all a blur to me now. But what I took note of, and I've been noticing this for years, which is that I think you've struck the balance, and I'm giving the kudos here to Lawrence because I know he's probably responsible for this. But because I need to talk about this because there are some Lowest of the Low fans who just want you guys to stay in the 90s, like
Yes.
okay. And I mean, I bumped into one at this concert, and I hadn't been to a show since I can't remember 94 or something like that. I can't remember, and we were talking. I'd been to many shows in the last 5 years, and I was explaining there's a lot of good new Lowest of Low songs, but there are songs you play live now that I would be disappointed if I didn't hear. Like I'm going to say a song like Power Lines, okay? Like to me now, I need to hear that just like I need to hear Salesman, Cheats, and Liars.
Oh, it's nice to hear that.
It's true.
That is nice to hear.
Like, and there's a lot of new songs, and we're gonna play some from the new album, even I think that fit. But like, maybe speak to finding that balance.
Well, there are some people that coming for them coming to see us is an exercise in nostalgia. I think.
Sure.
I think that's very true, and I think that's
100%.
valid. And we want those people to keep coming because honestly, I still really like playing all those old songs. But at the same time, we are unapologetic about the fact that we are still making new music that
You're
we
kind of
we think
prolific
is pretty
now.
good.
Like I feel you're prolific.
I kind of feel that too. We've really cranked out a lot of music. It's been what, like since 2017 we put out Do the Right Now. So we've been sort of bashing around for a year before that, and then since then we've made what, 3 albums, 4 albums.
Yeah, and I think
the-
consolidating the lineup we have now, as I've said several times, is like it feels to me like Low 1.0. Like it feels like the spring of 1991 to me when I'm around these guys, because it's like we have really consolidated. It makes total sense. It's a great hang. Everybody understands what the mission is, and
Yeah, and we get really charged up to play the new music, and I mean it's kind of funny some nights where you see we're playing and we will drop into an old song and the crowd goes yay, and then at the end of that we will drop into a brand new song and the band goes yay, so we try to keep that balance, keep it rolling.
Well, this is it.
constant
I'm so
motion.
curious. Like, do you have a rule set, or maybe it's even subconscious, Lawrence, about how many songs in a row you can play before you take us back?
It's
to
not
the
a hard
90s?
and fast rule, but I sort of know it when I see it. I'm like, oh, that's too many new ones, and I slip in
So
something.
again, I am. I'm. There's many
Yeah.
of these, and we're going to play a couple from the new album that I feel are just great live bangers. But I can sense in the crowd, like there's a crowd vibe I can sense where people are a little quiet, not too quiet, but they're a little quiet, and then you'll hit a song from Shakespeare in My Butt, and it's everybody's singing along and jumping a little higher, like it's a different. So
I think we also have you're talking about the democracy of the band. I think we also have varying, like I think me and Greg every now and then will go, fuck it, we're playing the whole record, and then a sprinkling of things at the end, and then everybody goes, hold on, and we talk and we work it out like what everybody feels comfortable with. But I was going to say to you guys, like, are you not the same way? Like I feel like I'm the same way as those Low fans, not in that I don't want to hear somebody making new music, but like for instance, let's just pull Billy Bragg out of the hat. Like if I was to go see Billy Bragg, I gotta say I'm probably the most excited about hearing the songs from the first 4 records, and and of course I'm right there with them with new stuff, and but I get it, like because we're all the same way, right? We came to those songs at a very exciting part of our lives usually, and
yeah. Well, I just saw Change of Heart at the Sound Garage. Like this is only a few weeks back.
Yeah, we were out of town. When that happened. How was it?
I loved it, except it had the same thing, which is like, could we? I hate to say it, like I don't even want to hear myself say it, but can we get back to the 90s? Like it's like, you know what I mean? Like if they, because it was front, so the earlier stuff was at the back end, so it was kind of, the new stuff was like front loaded, but there was that feeling of like, I know you I'm sure these are fine songs, but I don't know them yet. Like I think I personally need to hear a song a few times, and then I can anticipate parts of it, and it's I actually really like the song. But the first time I'm hearing a song live, it could be the greatest song of all time. I might be a little underwhelmed, if that's a word.
But the funny thing is, do we slip into that pair of shoes? Because clearly, when you first heard those first Change of Heart songs, you heard them
right. Well, I think you guys have found a better balance where, and there's no judgment against Ian Blurton, our Lord and Savior Ian Blurton. Everyone on the show knows how I feel about it. I'm still searching. I think I found the gong. I'm talking to Lawrence now because I feel like he knows what I'm talking about.
I do.
And Ron's gonna be like, "What are we fucking talking about?"
Yeah.
I thought it was in one song, and then somebody says you can hear it at the end of this other song, and I believe I found the gong.
This is on the Change of Heart.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Smile.
On Smile.
Mm-hmm. There's a gong that is credited to Gil Moore from Triumph. Right. Okay, but I had a coincidental booking where I had Gil in the basement and then I had Ian Blurton the next day. So like Gil's down here and I'm asking him about the gong, and Gil has zero memory of the gong. But then I had on Ian Blurton and we're asking, and he's kind of talking about the gong, but he doesn't know what song it's on. He has no idea. Something on Smile has this gong, and I found the credits, and the credits were attributing production of gong to a BW, and we're just talking out Ian, and then like a light bulb goes off in Ian's head and he goes, BW? Bob Wiseman, right? So it turns out Bob Wiseman produced this gong that was performed by Gil Moore, whether he remembers it or not, and is found on Smile. And I think I found it, and let's just say this will be a mockumentary coming soon.
This does sound like a hallucination somebody had, though, some sort of CanCon hallucination. Well, it's like, no, it's Bob Wiseman with a gong, man, and Gil Moore's hitting it.
Gil Moore's hitting a gong at his, whatever.
And then they emailed it to us.
Right, well, I don't even know, probably pre-email.
Well, that album was recorded live.
I think I had to go on a zip disc or something.
They had to fly it in somehow, right? So
bike it. Wow. I think somebody biked it over. Maybe Ian picked it up on bike or something.
From Mississauga all the way to Reaction. Yeah. Oh, it is great. This is great.
So
you're doing some can rock service here, Mike.
What's the point of all this if we don't figure out the gong on Smile?
That's right.
Right? Like, what is the point of all this?
That's right.
I know we'll always have like Exclaim and some of these other places that still give a shit, but
so you were just waiting to hear the gong. The whole night, the whole Change of Heart show.
I actually
where's the gong?
I thought, well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And but on Smile, which I listened to over and over again, I thought I had the gong, and then I played it on. We do this monthly episode called Toast, and one of the people is the aforementioned Rob Pruce, who is like a musical genius. He was 15 years old playing keyboards and he was on CBC before that for being a piano prodigy. Like, this is a musical genius, this Rob Pruce. So is this a gong? Because what do I know? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's a gong, but I don't really know my gongs.
You need a second opinion on that.
So, but on Instagram, somebody slid it. I don't think it was on DMs. Like, it's like a public reply to something I posted about the gong, and said they think they found the gong, and I think this person's right. So we have a break in gong gate, if you want to call it that. Okay, but I do want to get you guys to Over Years and Overnight, because I feel like I've made you wait long enough. So the fifth song that Ron Hawkins gave to Exclaim as his 5 favorite low songs, which sound like they may have changed 5 minutes later. Ron might have had a different.
Yeah, I don't know what's coming. I didn't read the article, so I don't know what's coming.
Well, who's running PR for Lowest Little Low these days?
Yeah.
This should be.
I saw that it happened though. I think that's a great idea.
My initial gut is fuck. Like, that's something I would do, and it's exactly what I would do. And why didn't I think of that first?
I mean, yeah.
Like, why do I have to steal it from Exclaim? Exclaim should be stealing from me.
Kick out your own favorite jams that you wrote.
So here is the 5th jam.
All right.
I thought I heard your sweet voice calling in the street to me, but it was just a broken record playing in my memory. Yeah. Oh, life's a mystery. Life's a mystery, a little sadness, a little history, and here they come again, all the 7 sorrows, here they come again, all the 7 sorrows.
Did I hear a gong in there? No.
Hey, that lonely boy, don't make me sound.
It's actually Gil Moore's gone.
It's Gilmore. It's Gilmore's gone, yeah.
No, Dougie Gilmore. Gilmore, okay.
Look at that, the Seven Sorrows, huh?
So please tell me, and for the listenership, this is a song. I'm going to play a few from the new album because I noticed no guitars made their way into the basement today. That's okay. The Seven Sorrows from Over Years and Overnight. Why did you choose this one, Ron?
I think I chose it because of I think it's interesting for us, the bells and whistles, the bells that are in there.
Not a gong.
Not a gong. That's Lawrence on the bells.
There it is.
On the church bells.
You do a hell of a bell.
Thank you. You'll notice the pattern is a 7-note pattern because of
Oh, see?
He's playing 3D
Easter
chess.
egg.
There's also
I
a
know.
7-note synth pattern in the chorus. You can't really hear it. It's kind of buried, but you know.
I bet you Rob Pruser.
Everything
did.
was seven
This
notes.
is what happens, yeah.
I didn't tell you about this. This is just something we did.
Yeah, I felt it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
You didn't have to tell me. And just, it's about, I think it's funny because the phrase, the Seven Sorrows, I sort of thought I had made it up. And then I guess what it is that as a songwriter, I'm just a sponge. So somehow that phrase has gone in, and then different people were telling me different things. Like the funniest one was Greg said, yeah, I was thinking like, what's wrong, getting religious or something? And I was like, what? Like, well, that's the farthest thing that I would imagine Greg would think would suddenly happen to me at this point in my life. But apparently the Seven Sorrows, there's some Catholic connection to that. And then then Chris Tate, actually, who was out in your driveway earlier, told me that something about ladybugs. There's something called the Seven Sorrows, and it's related to ladybugs. And so there were all these people were hitting me with these definitions of the Seven Sorrows. I was like, I just thought it sounded cool.
Yeah.
And I thought it sort of summed up this idea that I feel like since, let's say 2016, but also through the pandemic and through this late stage.
We've been through some shit, eh?
We've been through some shit. We've been sort of like surfing, I think surfing wellness. I mean, a lot of people have been really struggling, but I said even those that aren't are sort of surfing this kind of crest of wellness, ready to fall off the surfboard a lot at any moment. And so there were lines like that, hey there, lonely boy, don't make me say I miss you, brother. Like just we've lost some people, and, whether we've lost them completely and physically or whether we've just lost them psychically or they've just fallen into hard times. It's like, I wanted it to be uplifting sonically and deliver that message that we hear you and we see you, and, and I'm surfing the same way you are. And, and I like certain little lines. I like the, life's a mystery, a little sadness, a little history, but the bells thing was fun too, because I think at first it was one of those things, and there's an analog to the Lazarette's record, which I'll tell you in a second. But I think when the bells thing first started, we were all everybody sort of like smushed up their face a little bit and was like, yeah, does it sound like the Taco Bell bell, or like, and we're making a run for the border here. And it was like, I think it went back and forth, and there was a chance that it wasn't going to happen. And then we kind of did the dive, and
I'm okay with that anyway. I have never been to Taco Bell in my life, so
I don't think I'm a
safe.
Taco Bell. I'm not sure I've ever been to Taco Bell.
You know what's the weirdest thing in the world? When the Low toured with the Cadillac Tramps from Orange County, half the band are Latino guys, and the rest of them have all grown up in Southern California. They love Taco Bell. I'm like your grandmas and probably are furious that you're going to Taco Bell. Like, I couldn't believe it, but they loved it. So, well, they'd also been in jail, so I don't know. Maybe their taste buds have changed a little.
So, Lawrence, as you doing the Seven Bells.
Yeah. Yes.
First thing
but
before
we move past the bells part, is on the Lazarette's record. There was a song that Bryce, who's the keyboard player, in pre-production. I went in for a night for pre-production, and the song came up, and suddenly there was this kalimba running through everything. And I was like, my first reaction was like, what the hell are you doing? And then halfway through the song, I was like, actually, that sounds pretty cool. And then by the end of the song, I was like, we absolutely have to keep that kalimba, right? And, and it was like, and then there was pushback from the other guys in the band, like, we love it, but I'm not sure about the kalimba, like after I had mixed it and everything. Mm-hmm. And I had judiciously maybe put some in the intro and a little in the second verse and stuff like that. It wasn't everywhere. And I was like, I think you're going to be really sorry if we take this out. We can do that. But I said, it's an earworm, and it's a structural part of the song that it's really cool. And I feel like the same, if we had left those bells out, it's not going to be on my top 5, let's face it.
Was there any particular song with bells that inspired that, Lawrence?
No, it was Ron's demo that inspired it, because I think you put those bells on the.
Oh, was it in the demo?
It wasn't quite the same part, because you may have played 8 notes, and I had to correct that. But I
can't.
But yeah. But no, the sound of the bells were there, and it was this.
There's me, I guess there would be like, what's that tune, that girl group tune, Christmas tune? U2 covered it.
Darlene Love.
Baby, Please Come Home.
Yeah,
I think
Darlene
that
Love,
has
right?
bells in it, right? You know that, yeah, it's sort of like Motown.
Yeah, that's definitely in there.
Oh yeah,
Lots of soul
and
songs. that
They
have-
Don't Know by Tracy Ullman. It's got the same thing.
Love it.
You know, so
No.
those are Tubular Bells. I think is what those
You know that's a
That's
cover. Do you know this? Yeah, They
It
Don't
is?
Know by Tracy Ullman is a cover.
is not a Tracy Ullman song.
I don't think so. I think it's a cover.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was Kirsty MacColl wrote that song. That's right. No, Kirsty MacColl.
Speaking of great Christmas
Yes.
songs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Fairy Tale New York. Now,
So that's the 5 songs. I don't like any of the other songs.
okay, but now we see what a nice hour, brilliant segue over to Over Years and Overnight. So I have questions about the new album,
Shoot.
but I'm going to play another song real quick here.
You took the 502, I took it pretty hard. You took my snakeskin boots, you took my credit card. You left this place ransacked, but you can have all that. I want my heart back, give me my heart back. I've heard discretion is an acquired charm. They say possession is 9/10 of the law. This ain't no lover's nest, this is a house arrest. I want my heart back, give me my heart back. Finders, keepers, lovers are heavy sleepers, fatalists and daydreamers. Hey!
Okay, amazing. I think this new album is full of bangers. It's a great song.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
You ever made an album and said that sucks?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Hasn't happened yet.
And I prompted for it earlier, so before I pass the mic to you guys to talk about a little more about the new album, I wanted to shout out the rest of Lowest of Low. So it seems like my go-to Low members are, of course, Ron Hawkins and Lawrence Nichols, and it's fine. But you mentioned Greg Smith, so he plays bass guitar. Mike McKenzie
Yep.
on guitar, and David Alexander, of course. Am I allowed that? Was David okay for the concert hall show? Okay, because he played really well.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
No,
gave
he
me a
was-
heads up,
he was
and
far
then
from okay.
10 minutes before that show started at the concert hall, Dave was very far from okay.
yeah. So
and
I
then
kind of
he
had
came
this.
out.
I hadn't tell. I have a mole on the inside
Yeah.
feeding me this info.
Yeah.
So I was kind of watching him closely, and he looked normal.
I
Great.
think the music brought him back. It was the bangers from the new album.
But when
brought
you
him
came back from like your,
He did
when
sound
you-
check, and then he was in there's a laneway right beside the door to the side stage, and he was in the van from sound check until 5 minutes before we went on, pale as a ghost and sweating and puking. He puked 5 times in the alleyway, and
like food poisoning.
yeah,
something like
was
that, yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And then like to the point where he said like, you better be prepared for me to just run off the stage. And so we had asked Mike, who was the drummer in the Daniel Adge band, opening for us, any chance you could just jump up and, I know you don't know all our songs, but could you be behind the kit if we needed you? And he was prepared to do that. And yeah, and then Dave, I guess the adrenaline kicked in, and Dave just was a hero. And
Yeah.
He was a legend, and at the end of the night, he felt a lot better. So
Well, I was going to call up Andrew Scott, get him over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was funny. I was
Don
talking,
Pyle or something.
I was talking to Noel Webb, the Skydiggers drummer, after the show, and he said when he walked in, Sean, the guy who runs the concert hall, came up to him and said, "Listen, you feel like you might be able to."
That's like when you had
play a little
the
tonight."
emergency goaltender. David.
Oh yeah, we
Zamboni
could
driver.
have had a drummer choir up there. We could have had like all kinds of drummers.
there was a Zamboni driver.
A Zamboni
there.
driver who was
Can
ready
you
to
play drums.
ready to kick it out.
But yeah, he was not good, but he became good.
He
The rock
became
and roll made him
excellent.
good.
Okay, because you guys sounded it's
Legend,
great.
the
You sound great.
legendary Dave Alexander.
The legend
from
grows
now on.
for,
yes.
and he does. He made your recent video. I was seeing this
He's
on.
made all of our
Yeah,
recent
all of your
videos. I
recent
think
videos.
Everything since Landslide, was his.
Okay, so specifically, I did enjoy The Only One I See, which I might play in a moment, actually, because you can't stop me at this point. But just tell me a little bit about the new album and what Low fans who haven't heard it yet can expect and how they can get it and all that jazz.
Well, I think I definitely want to touch on what Ron said earlier about how it's definitely deliberately much more upbeat and less political than our more recent material. Not because everything is better now, but just because, music has lots and lots of purposes. It can educate, it can incite, and it can also, mollify and soothe and be a balm in difficult times. And that's BALM. Or it could be a bomb in difficult times as well. Mm-hmm. So
my next vote's with a brick. Remember that.
Yes, exactly. So I kind of feel like this was deliberate. We were trying to be a little more upbeat, and with a few notable exceptions, have more.
I'm not sure I would use the word deliberate because I don't know that there was a thought process to I don't think we were. I just remember at some point.
Well, I just remember at some. But I think it might have gone into the process of curating the songs for the record. And I know that at some point you had expressed a desire that you wish you could write. I don't know, Walking on Sunshine right now, just to be that lift, that spring in people's step that might.
That was an Attic release, Attic Records release before the version that became a worldwide hit.
Actually, I kind of think I did.
Maybe you heard it on Toronto.
And
you might have heard that.
Another thing that low fans might get tickled by is that the horn section on Walking on Sunshine is the same horn section on London Calling.
Oh, that is a fun fact.
Which is really wild.
Know that. Wow.
Yeah. What a versatile group of people.
And you got a lot of horns when I see you live now. You got like a horn section.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say before we move on to the legitimizers is that I think another thing just subconsciously that people might get from this record is it's the sound of a band gelling even more than they were. Like we wrote 3 of the songs on this record completely together, which is. For the exception of Bottle Rockets, which was kind of an accident in a jam space a long time ago, this deliberately writing together is absolutely brand new. Over 35 years later, it's brand new to do this, and I feel like that's not just about us doing it, but it's about the comfort level and the gelling of these musicians as a unit. So I think you're also hearing that. I think that's a bit contagious. Is that there's a sort of a joy in that's on the record. That's palpable on the record.
It could also be that some of us finally want to be in a TV commercial, and if we are all co-write,
I can't wait for that vote. Can I record the vote?
It's just
you leave it to Ron
posterity. So how many when you have a new album like you do right now that you're promoting, you want people to hear your new art? Like how many of the new songs might make a typical lowest of the low set?
No more than 7. No, we did 8 at the concert hall, didn't we?
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That is a lot. And I mean, when you do that, you start leaving out. I don't think we played anything from Sordid Fiction at the concert hall. You just have to, right now what we're doing is primarily we're playing Shakespeare songs, and we're playing brand new songs, and then, a couple of greatest hits from the last few years. And yeah, unfortunately, it's just not possible to fit everything in every night. So,
And you have to be comfortable with the idea that you're going to disappoint somebody because
it's impossible not to.
I took my family to see Paul McCartney in Chicago,
and
he played for 3 hours. Yeah. And in the parking lot on the way out, I heard 2 dudes behind me going, "Oh, I can't believe he didn't play Get Back." And I was like, "Oh man."
But on that note, so I saw for the first time ever, I saw Bruce Springsteen last November, and he goes like 3 hours.
But what didn't he play?
He didn't play any of these soundtrack jams I grew up loving. He
played Get Back. Yeah.
None of the soundtrack jams he was famous for in the 90s.
Like No Streets of Philadelphia?
Yeah, No Streets of Philadelphia, or Dead Man Walking, or any of that kind of stuff here.
Aren't they kind of the same song? Can we be honest?
Well, I like them both, so maybe.
They're good.
I like them both.
They're pretty.
I'm a soundtrack.
Where's the
guy.
Dead Man gonna walk? If not the streets of Philadelphia.
So you guys go hard for about 90 minutes or so. It seems to be a thing now that I saw Guns N' fucking Roses at the Dome, and they went 3 hours. You can debate amongst yourself whether that was good or not. But do you guys ever think like, hey, what if we went longer? Or are we old fans?
We've done that. We've definitely played our share of 2 hours, 2 hour plus shows, I think. But
yeah, and I've recently come off the BHS tours, the Brown, Hawkins, Stanley experience. Yeah. And those
I saw Chris Brown at the Garrison. He did a great.
Those sets were very, very long, and I lost a democratic experience when I was voting for 30 some odd songs is too many songs. Right. Like I'm, and it's like I'm like, I'm in for a marathon as much as the next guy, but that's a lot of songs, and I don't think it's necessary.
Think of our demographic too. I mean, asking people to stand for, like, I mean, at 2/3 of the way through that show you're talking about, there was an exodus of people going, okay, well, I guess that's it. Yeah. Even though they were still clearly not done, everyone's like, whoa, boy, because everyone's back was hurting.
Have you noticed though, people bringing out their kids now? Like, I do notice now 20-somethings in the crowd, and
it's
often,
also not just that though,
right there.
because the other there seems to be two schisms, which is that there's the Taylor Swift 3.5 hours or whatever it is. And then apparently there's an awful lot of young bands who are like, no, it's an hour. We're doing an hour, like a hard hour, Yeah. So I don't think it's even just about people being older or younger. I think there's just two philosophies about like, how much do you need? If you think back to like the 60s, like those Beatle tours, they would go with the Beatles and Paul Revere and the Raiders and, 3 other acts, and everybody would play like 35 minutes.
No, that's true. But luckily those songs were like, 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
Has the lowest of the low in recent history, have you played Regina, Saskatchewan?
No.
Define recent history. Like we played
post
Regina. 2012.
Define Regina.
We played Regina, Saskatchewan the day after Donald Trump was first elected president.
2016. It's funny, I saw Bruce the day after Donald Trump was elected this time. So this is the move. Is that a mind blow or what? Okay. Any fond memories, Ron, of playing Regina, Saskatchewan?
No. No, of course.
Somebody had the same answer.
Of course. No, because actually our manager at the time when we were going across the country a lot, for a big part of that, our manager was Sandy Pandya, and her family she's from Regina. Her family was there, so we were always treated to, lovely Indian meals before the shows and stuff like that. And yeah, like what did they have? The venue? I think there used to be.
It had a few different names. Channel 1, the venue. It was the same place, and we played the casino there. And
to be honest, once you get into past the ring road of all of these Canadian cities, it's it's really hard to tell where you are at times. Like we would do the hotel, the club, some after party, the hotel, back in the van. We'll sort of wake up hungover, driving around the ring road of what gas station, what Subway sandwich, it's like there's very similar experiences until you hit certain landmarks.
Well, I only bring up Regina because Al Grego, the host of the award-winning podcast from Monaris, Yes, We Are Open, he went to Regina for season 8, and episodes from season 8 are dropping now. And I'm going to shout out the most recent episode of Yes, We Are Open, where Al visited Jim Bayton, the founder and owner of Tumbler's Pizza in Regina, Saskatchewan. Jim shared his journey from making pizza boxes at 14 to building a pizza empire that sells Regina-style pizza in over 140 locations across Saskatchewan. So you get to hear the story behind the unique name, the secret formula for their incredible sauce, the challenges they face along the way. I know what you're wondering.
Yes.
What is Regina-style pizza?
Don't Google it.
Well, I'm sure it's revealed in this new episode of Yes, We Are Open from Al Grego and the good people at Monaris. And last but not least, you guys know that if you have a drawer or a room full of old cables, old devices, old electronics, you don't throw that in the garbage because the chemicals end up in our landfill. Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca, put in your postal code, and find out where to drop it off.
You know who else was from Regina? Was the Waltons.
Oh, yeah, Lick My Tractor.
There you go.
Yeah, and the Rain song. Woke up. I'm standing in the pouring rain. What was that called? Which was a lovely song. Yeah. Was that called Naked Rain?
Oh, yeah.
The Naked Rain. Naked Rain.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a done there. Okay, one last jam here.
There's that Dave Alexander. Legendary Dave Alexander.
I'll tell you a secret that's under your nose. Blisses and blessings, our fingers and toes. I hear there's a garden that feels mighty close. A taste of the good life, you come up and smelling like a rose. Ah, you're the only one I see. Yeah, you're the only one I see. Oh, poor little rich man, a head up his
another song that sounded great live. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff.
We're catching on to this thing.
Catching on. All right, I'm going to give you guys each a measuring tape from Ridley Funeral Home because once again, you guys were awesome, big fans. When I see... Oh, what were you going to make a measuring casket joke?
No.
Oh, no. Okay, I was going to say.
Never.
You made that last time, Ron. Come on, we need new material. New material on Toronto Mike. Jill Riley. Ever heard of this person?
I have heard of her work.
Is she good?
Yeah, she's good.
She's got a vocal credit, so she can be heard on this new album.
Yeah, she was very excited that she said, like, I've made it onto Hawkins solo records over the years, but I've never broken into the lowest of the low pantheon. So she was excited to be asked to do the counterpoint vocal on Wake Up and Smell the Roses, and she does a chorus vocal in
The Seven Sorrows
as
yes.
well.
It's very nice.
So exciting, and it was so well received by the band that Dave said, "You got to go and we got to put her on all the songs." And I was like, "You want me to go and write counterpoint vocal parts for all the other songs?"
He said yes.
And he said yes. Grabbed me by the lapels.
Oh,
Scruff your collar.
coming soon.
But you've had recently, I've noticed with Lowest of Low, more ska type, more ska essentially. But this is like the only ska-ish song on the new album. Am I right?
Yeah, and I would say technically it's not really a ska.
No, yeah, but it's got elements.
because it's slower. But yeah,
Okay.
well, it's just that thing. It's funny because we've had such long careers and have passed through a few other iterations before Lowest of the Low. That when we first introduced some ska stuff onto Agitpop, I think people were like, "Oh my God, it's amazing that you guys are branching out and trying." And I was like, "Well, it's kind of that's a little bit of a full circle to before Lowest of the Low, because we used to do that before the band." And so it's just it's one of those things. I think everybody grew up. What I love about this band too is that when we all grew up listening to different sections of different kinds of popular music, and so some of us have the kind of new wave and ska stuff, and then other people have the folk and the punk rock, and some people like metal, and some people like but all of that stuff goes into a little pot, and then all the things we've heard other people like us have made these gumbos of their things, and we get inspired by them, and so it's like a take on somebody's take, and eventually you just get to this place where it's a beautiful mixture of different inspirations, and and again, everything in the band is like a very productive rock paper scissors over different kinds of things happening or not happening. Sometimes we push the envelope some too far this way, and somebody goes, I don't. We're all good check on each other. I think our own.
Or you were going to name check
eccentricities.
the horn section, I think, earlier, and then I distracted you.
Oh, yes, they got named the Legitimizers at some point because, I just made the joke that, we're us, and then when the horn section comes on, we sound legitimate no matter what happens. If they're playing behind us, everything sounds more legitimate. So they became the Legitimizers horn section. And yeah, it's been an absolute blast to play with them. And I write, I love horns as much as the next guy. So every time I'm writing, I'm always kind of thinking like, is there horn parts for this? Because I'm excited by that. And
I'm going to go further and actually name them. That's Ruhi Devji
yes,
on
Saxophone.
and Christian Prince on the bigger saxophone. And that's Stephen Dite playing the trumpet and Christian Overton playing the
trombone.
Other trumpet. No, the longer trumpet, the trombone.
The bone.
The bone, yeah. And they've three of them have been on the last three records. Kristen was a new addition to this one because the family is growing.
And live, we've had John Jowett has joined us on trombone as well, and
James
has joined us.
James played once.
James the band.
Alphonse
Late,
played
I think,
there
was
once,
the big
yeah.
song, right?
And we're forgetting someone. Anyway, yeah.
Send it and they'll fix it in post.
Oh yeah, fix it in post.
Slide it in there.
Yeah.
Mr. Black.
Mr. Black played
Mr. Black.
some trombone for us.
You guys, Lowest of the Low. You could rest on your laurels and just do the nostalgia circuit and play Shakespeare in My Butt. And us Gen Xers will come out because it's like the only way we know of to go like back to university or college or whatever. And we could do that for alternative. But you guys keep making great new music and mixing it up with the old classics. And I say kudos to you. You guys are fucking rad.
Oh, thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
And thanks so much for having us back. Again,
you too are rad.
Yeah. We're creating a nice
really
rad triangle
you
here.
You think I'm rad? That's awesome.
We're circle of
I'm
radness
chuffed. I'm chuffed to say that you're rad.
And that brings us to the end of our 1,697th show. Go to TorontoMike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. Lawrence, I feel like you're the social media guy. Where's the best place to follow Lowest of the Low to know what's going on?
Oh, probably on Facebook. I think Ron handles Facebook mostly. And
True Social.
And
I made a weak assumption there.
No.
That you were the social guy.
Ron's the Facebook guy. I look after Instagram and I look after Twitter and Blue Sky.
I'm older than Lawrence, so I do the Facebook stuff.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
But feel free to, exclude the more fascist platforms and just, your choice is good. A
lot of variety there
yes.
for the low heads out there.
Mm-hmm.
Much love to all who made this possible. Again, that is Great Lakes Brewery. I don't know why, but I just don't think either of you drink beer. Am I wrong? Lawrence, do you drink beer? And Ron, you don't drink beer.
These are delightful cans, though. They look
so
like
it's like I didn't give you the beer because it's like every time I do it, it's like, why do I waste my time? They don't want the beer. They want the lasagna. So much love to Great Lakes Brewery. I'm actually recording.
It looks
the cans
terrific.
are beautiful.
Yeah.
The guy who's responsible for the cans used to work at the Only Cafe.
Oh,
Fabian.
no kidding.
Yeah, Fabian from the Only Cafe.
Oh, yeah. I know Fabian.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
I thought so. You guys should write a song about the Only Cafe.
Put it on the list.
Shout out to Palma Pasta. I got lasagna for you guys. Moneris. Toronto Maple Leafs Baseball. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Building Toronto Skyline. We're recording 2 new episodes on Friday morning. Thank you, Nick Iones. And Ridley Funeral Home. See you all tomorrow. Actually, that's a lie. I'm going to see you on Friday when my special guest is Adam Bunch. And we're going to talk about the ongoing history of Canada versus the United States of America. Toronto history from Adam Bunch. Don't you dare miss it. See you then.